All right. Welcome back to the Daily Vibecode, which is not quite daily yet, but today we're going to work with Langgraph again. And today we're going to try to build something very ambitious. We're going to stick to 1 hour. I'm going to try to pause the video while Claude is working, if I'm not talking, so that there will be less moments of silence. So while I will work for an hour, this video might be less than an hour. I've also got a little bit of a cough, so please pardon me if I cough throughout. I should have some water near me, but I don't, so if I need that, I'll pause and grab it. Um, I've written up a very long, complicated prompt first, and so I'm going to read through it. Now, I know that this sort of AI assistant agent system is going to sound a little off the deep end. Um, and, we can get back to something more practical tomorrow. But this is, everyone wishes that there could be an AI that helps you organize your life and get everything done. And this is my attempt to just do it and get it out of my head, which I think is what this session is really for. So I'm going to read it. All right. So the title is Building an Entire Life Task Organizer App in an Hour. And here's going to be the prompt I'm going to paste into Claude. It's not particularly organized. It was sort of a stream of consciousness. I did read through it to edit it, so I do think it all makes sense. But it's not like separated into sections. Let's build a Python-based LangGraph app that uses two OpenAI models via API, a small, cheap one for basic tasks, and a large, expensive one for more complicated tasks. The idea behind this app is that the user inputs things that are causing them cognitive load, obligations, unfinished tasks, things they need to do, and this app provides tools to deal with them. The user will say something like, I need to go shopping to buy food, or I'm almost out of green tea. And the LangGraph AI agent system will take that information and run it through a series of agents to organize a database of tasks and how they fit together. Here is the data schema and their relationships. First, the user has life goals. Each unfinished task, obligation, or worry is connected to one or more life goals. Each life goal has a priority score from 1 to 10, and also a stress score from 1 to 10. The priority score is how much of a high priority score this goal is, and the stress score is how much stress not having achieved this goal causes on a day-to-day basis. The user also has a user state, and this is determined based on how recently the user ate, how recently they exercised, and what kind, how much sleep he got last night, and the quality, and how his body is feeling at the moment, energy-wise, soreness-wise, if there are any symptoms of sickness, and what they are. These are stored in a user states table with a timestamp for when that state was collected from the user. There are two task tables, one-time tasks and recurring tasks, and each task is connected to one or more life goals and have an estimated amount of time to complete and a cognitive load level, 1 to 10, for how much the user feels like not doing that task weighs on their mind. One-time tasks get completed, but recurring tasks have an interval that the user wants to do them every X amount of time. One-time tasks have a time by which the user feels they need to be completed. When a recurring task is completed, it gets saved as a completed task in the one-time task table, which functions also as a task completing history. So here's an example workflow to start figuring out the agent flow. The user registers for the first time and then gets passed to the managing agent, Hydrogen. Hydrogen checks if the user has life goals, a recent state check, and any tasks, and if there If any are empty, it passes the user to that agent to complete onboarding. The life goal agent says, "Hello, we're your agent team. I'm the life goals agent, Helium. We are all named after the elements. Today we'll be doing your onboarding interview first. First, can you tell me your top life goals?" And then, after the user responds, Helium collects the rest of the information needed for the life goals. The idea is that Helium chooses to add life goal information to the life goals state and checks to see if there's missing life goal information, like stress or priority, and asks a follow up question to get that information and store it. The agent has tools to add a life goal, update a life goal, or delete a life goal, and all the current life goal information is always included in the context to calls to the interview agent, with tool calls available for the life goal actions. Then, after he said, "These are all the life goals I have for you now. Do you want to add any or make any changes?" If the user indicates they are complete, Helium can pass the user to Lithium, the state agent, and Lithium conducts a similar interview to get the user's state. If there's no states recorded yet, it introduces the concept of the state interview and what it's for. Then, when the user has recorded their first state, Lithium says, "Here's the state. Do you want to add anything?" And if the user says no, he says great and passes the user to Beryllium, the task agent. Beryllium says, "So what are some of the top tasks you have on your mind?" And based on the user's answers, Beryllium gets tasks and updates them in the database, gathering information about the task, and in particular, which life goals the user sees it being connected to. Helium, lithium, and beryllium all use the small model. If the user interrupts or abandons the onboarding and then comes back later, hydrogen will see it in its initial check of the tables and pass to the correct agent for follow-up. When each small agent finishes its interview, it passes the user back to hydrogen. If there's no life goals, hydrogen prioritizes passing to the life goal agent. If there isn't a state check in the past 4 hours, hydrogen prioritizes the state check. If there's a recent state check and life goals and no tasks, hydrogen passes to the task agent. If there's life goals, a recent state check, and tasks related to the life goals, hydrogen offers to provide a daily recommendation. If the user says yes, hydrogen then reads all of the information in the last 10 states, the last 2 days of completed tasks, checks programmatically for overdue recurring tasks by looking at the completed tasks within the task recurrence window, looks at all the not completed one-time tasks and their information, and then with all this information offers a recommendation for the tasks that the user should prioritize for today and in what order. Hydrogen uses the big agent to synthesize all this information into a recommendation. If the user says no, hydrogen asks if they want to update life goals, do a state check, or update or add tasks. If the user's message indicates wanting to do one of these outright, even before being asked, hydrogen just sends the user to that agent to do that. After which, the agent returns the user to hydrogen. Agents always confirm the user is done talking to it before passing the user off. The system needs to be multi-user. It also should have tabs for both the chat and to let the user see, query, and edit the database directly, with paging as the database gets long. The front end should be Vue.js, JavaScript, not TypeScript, and the back end you can choose. The database should be SQLite, so this can run on a single fly.io virtual machine with an attached persistent volume. The interface should be mobile first. There is also a to-do list table, so Hydrogen can create daily to-do lists if the user likes the recommendations, and those are displayed in another to-do list tab. The system should use cookies so the user can stay logged in. The system should have multiple themes that the user can choose, a dark one, a light one, a green one, blue one, pink one, and beige one. There should be a system admin set up who can manage and delete users and their data. Users should be able to set their own API keys for OpenAI or use the system's API key. All the tables should use an ID field and a single JSON field to prioritize flexibility of the system so fields can be added later and errors in JSON storage for the AI can be accommodated. They can also have a timestamp for created and updated, but these are never set from JSON returned by the AI. The front end should be flexible when displaying fields, parsing out JSON without choking on errors in schema or JSON parsing. There should be a help center built in, and Hydrogen should be able to fetch the help center if it wants and include all the help docs in a call. Every one of the answers in chat should have a see full context button that pops up a modal showing the user what was sent to the LLM to get the response and what tool calls were used. Now, I'm going to add one more thing that's very important, which is do not create a structured flow that is deterministic, but rather create tools for all of these various functions and instruct the AI agents in their purpose and the available tools to actually make this an agentic AI system and not simply a chained deterministic LLM call system. So the idea here is we need to have tools for all of these things and instructions. I'm just going to write this. So the idea here is we need to have tools for all of these things and instructions on the goals for the AI and let the AI agents choose their tool calls to get the desired result. Also provide comprehensive, persistent logs that can be viewed in the admin interface. Now, obviously, I'm going to see if we're even recording. Good, we are. I would hate to have to repeat that. Obviously, this is a huge prompt, and Claude's probably going to tell me that, and I'm going to see if it can build it with a single session, within like one session limit, uh, which I have not started yet. So we have, let's see, we have 0% used in this current session. We have more than enough left in the week. I even have a bunch of the extra $50 credits that Claude has given everyone who uses Opus 4.6 this month. And so we're prepared to really let this go. We're going to open up a new terminal. We're going to go to the home folder. We're going to go into documents. Let's make this bigger. There we go. We're going to make a directory called, I don't know, uh, Life Agent. We're going to go into Life Agent and we're going to start Claude. We're going to say, yes, I trust this folder. And here we are. Now, we could ask Claude to create a claude.md file, etc. But what we're just going to do is paste in that prompt, right? So we've already copied it. On Linux, copy and pasting is selecting. So pasted text number 1 and enter. There it is. It's entered plan mode and it's now exploring and designing an implementation approach. It's seen that this is an empty directory called a greenfield project, and it's going to design the architecture. Now I'm going to let this run for a little bit of time, But in the meantime, I'm going to pause this video so that we don't have to watch it in silence. Okay, so very quickly it wants to run a bash command to check on the versions for the, it's chosen fast API. It wants to check on the versions for LangGraph, and I have to say no. Why? Because now it wants to search for an agentic tools conditional routing tutorial. No. It wants to search for LangGraph multi-agent handoff subgraph pattern. No. Use a venv for this project. I need to tell it that also. One of the things I've noticed about Claude Code is it will try to, it'll decide, hey, the first thing I'm going to do is run some command line. When that's kind of, I would prefer it lets me run command line, and I suppose I could have included that in my prompt. Um, and it wants to search things on the web to look for tutorials, but I'd rather just see what it can build from what it knows, uh, and not corrupt itself with uh, random web search results. So I'm gonna pause again until we have something else to look at. Okay, we've got a plan. It's a long plan, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna read through this whole plan. I might just scroll through it while commenting on it. So, backend, fast API, Python, VOB, SQLite, LangGraph, 4 agents, front-end Vue.js with Pinia, mobile first, 6 themes. All tables use ID, JSON data field, timestamps for flexibility. Agent truly agentic with tools and React loops, not deterministic chains. Cookie auth, per user API keys, see full context modals, admin panel with logs. Help Center, to-do list, paginated DB viewer, and editor. Vyond will live at backend.vyond as requested. Ready to code. Here's the plan. Build a LangGraph-based AI agent system where users input cognitive load items and AI agents organize them into a database connected to life goals, user states, and daily recommendations. The system uses 2 OpenAI models, small for interviews, large for synthesis. SQLite, fast API backend, Vue.js front end, mobile first with multiple themes. We've got structure here, tools, to-do tools, help tools. Front end is package.json, we've got a front end, routers, stores, API, client.js, chat view, chat message, context modal, database view, data table, JSON field to do. This looks great, honestly. It looks awesome. Um, except I don't know how I feel about the themes, the way that it's set up the themes, but like, sure, why not? I like themes to be like variables, but it's nice to learn and see a new architecture. Um, .env has uh, the admin password. Here's our database schema. So the key thing here is using a catch-all JSON column. Now that's not great database design, obviously, because I mean that's more like a NoSQL style, and why not? Use that instead, but by using SQLite, it keeps things cheap. The thing about this app is it's not going to be super data heavy for one user. So at least to get it started and to not worry about errors in, oh, the LLM returned the wrong format for a date, or returned like this way, you just store the JSON because it's going in and it's coming out, and we can search the JSON. And if we want to add fields later on, it'll be easy to do that without messing around with migrations. We're not dealing with hundreds of thousands or millions of rows of data unless someone's actually been using this for a very long time. Um, this is more about just providing information and trying to make a supportive interface for the user. Even if you use this dedicatedly for a year, you'd still probably not see a large slowdown in terms of fetching the data that you need. Especially if you can take advantage of timestamps for the created or updated for like getting the 10 most recent something or others. Um, Now here's our lane graph architecture. I'm just gonna kind of let it assume this is the test here, so I don't want to mess around with that too much. Per user API key resolution, um, API endpoints, register, login, log out, current user from the cookie, chat, history. Um, Interesting how it's dealing with chat history. We'll see. Data CRUD, life goals, user states, one time recurring to do lists, uh, getting the user the profile and the theme, setting clearing the OpenAI key, the admin interface, the help articles, uh, routing for the front end, navigation, bottom tab bar on mobile, chat, databases to do, top bar, settings, gear, help, theme picker, theme system. Um, It'll also need like login, but we'll see. CSS custom properties. Um, so it is going to use variables. That's nice. The key components, JSON field dot view, context modal dot view, data table dot view. Implementation order, Python beyond setup, requirements.txt, install dependencies, main.py, fast API skeleton with cores, cross origin resource scripting, config.py, model names, database.py, auth.py, auth routes, login view, front end scaffolding, data layer, all the CRUD API routes, the agent system, the front end chat and to do, polish, admin setting mobile, environment setup, uh, site dev proxy, verification, start backend, start front end, register new user, chat. Um, let's just, yes, clear context and auto accept edits. Let's take a quick look. We've only used 16% of the current session, so we do have a fairly good chance of getting this all done. And we've got 25 minutes left. So we're going to let Claude go chug, chug, chug through this, and I'm going to pause it unless it stops and needs some input from us. But right now, it should just be trying to build this entire app. So let's see. Oh, already it wants to create the project directory structure. Oh, that makes sense, I guess. So we're gonna let it do that. And so if in the next few seconds it doesn't prompt something up, we're gonna get paused. As we can see, it's writing the requirements.txt. I'm gonna watch this, and if anything comes up or anything gets stopped, then I'll be back with you. Okay. Okay. Now that it's finished the back end, I guess it wants to go there, create the virtual environment, activate it, and then install the requirements and see if that works. Normally I'd like to do that, but I'm gonna let it do it because the idea is really to see is to let go of the developer control instinct. Even though I don't have much of it. Most developers have a lot more developer control instinct. I was talking to them recently. Um, and it wants to do it again for some reason. Oh, I guess it ran into. So here, what it did was it tried to run it, I'm best it uh it ran into an error that like had issues with the compatibility of the Python packages. So it just removed all of the package uh, version specifications and is like, hey, let's just try to let it figure it out for us. Um, so that's why it wants to do it again. And so we're going to let it. So I'm going to stay online with you while it's trying to install these requirements on its own. And it looks like the backend dependencies were installed. So it's going to update the task and start on the agent system for the front end scaffolding, which it's going to use parallel agents for. So I'm going to pause again and I'll come back to you if something comes up while it's writing the front end files. So it said, while the agent system is building, let me create the front end. And it wants to go and run npm create to create the front end. And I guess we'll let it. It wants to create the Vite View project. And I thought it might come up with an issue. It wants to try it again. I guess it ran it in the wrong directory maybe. Now it wants to install the dependencies. Sure. Pinia is a state way of handling state in Vue.js. This might have gone better if I used React, but I don't like reading React as much, and it's not as fast always. Now it wants to create the front end source directories. Sure. Kind of wonder what the subagents are doing. And now it's started to create all the front end files. And so I'll let it chug, 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 and come back to you when it has more issues or questions for me. So it wants to now, it says all 13 agent files exist. Let's do a quick syntax check on the back end. Part of me wants to say, no, don't do it, because I want to save tokens, because we are up to 60% used, but that seems unfair. So it wants to check them. And they all parsed okay, so let's let it keep going. Wants to build the front end to check for errors. Sure. The front end builds cleanly. It wants to test backend imports and the DB in it. It's going to go to the backend folder, uh, activate the virtual environment, and test imports and try that. Sure, why not? These actually aren't big token wastes because it's just runs something and then sees if it works. Wants to test all the agent model imports. See, we're at 26,000 tokens. It's not going up by much for each of these tests. So all the imports passed, and so it has finished phase 1 and 2 and 3, and phase 4. Fantastic. And now it's creating the README. And That's nice. We're still only at 60% used. I don't believe that. Let's refresh the page, see where we're really at. It's nice of Claude to have these live. 71% used, yeah. Or at least keep it live while you're refreshing. Um, so the agent system background task completed successfully. All 13 agent files were created and verified. The full implementation is done. Everything has been syntax checked, and the front end builds cleanly. And it has some, uh, it has implementations complete, it says. And it says to go run these. So we're gonna open a folder. I'll open the directory. One moment. Okay. Our life agent directory is open. We're gonna open up a terminal. That's saying change directory to the back end. Let's make things bigger. Uh, Activate um, the virtual environment and then run uvicorn to load the backend app. That's working. Now we gonna go into the front end directory. We're going to and then run npm run dev, which sort of actively runs a development version of the front end so that if any changes are made, they automatically show. And then we visit this, and the site cannot be reached. That's fun. We need to set our OpenAPI key in the .env for chat to work. So let me do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I set it, and um, we got our front end. It didn't work at 5173 because um, it was actually needed to use 5174 because port 5173 was in use already. So that's not Claude's fault. It couldn't have known. And it's important to understand how these things work. Although I'm not sure what would have happened if I said 5173 doesn't work. Here's the output of this, and it would say, ah, yes, you need 5174. So I suppose it would have helped us get around that eventually. But here we have our life agent. I could sign in with the admin and admin123, I suppose. And here we are. Now, I don't love um, the the theme. The dark theme is a little too dark, right? The light theme is a little easier to read. Um, the green theme is also, the text is not high contrast enough. Same thing with the blue theme. And the beige theme is okay. Let's stick with the beige theme for now. So I am interested in which models it chose. So let me ask Claude, um, what models are being used from OpenAI? And it's thinking. We can look at the database. Nothing in the database yet. We can look at our to-do. No to-do lists yet. And here we've got our chat. The message is it's a little cut off. It's using GPT-4o and GPT-4o mini. And that's in the backend config.py. Now, I don't want that, right? Open a platform. I want different models. Let's see. OpenAI models, pricing. I'd like to use the GPT-5 models. So, um, there's image. So GPT-5 and GPT-5 mini, I'm thinking. GPT-5, GPT-5 mini. Um, People say it's a disaster. We'll find out. Uh, they don't quite make it that easy. So GPT-5 mini, and then let's see if I'm right and it's just GPT-5 will work well enough. Yeah, so we're gonna go, we're gonna say change those to GPT-5 and GPT-5 mini. Now, why would I choose GPT-5 and not GPT-4o? One of the updates that I think was made in um, in GP from 4 to 5 is a lot more emphasis on understanding the state of the human nervous system to try to help people who were having a lot of issues with being sort of driven to excess or extremes with OpenAI. So I think that that should have automatically updated in the back end, and I shouldn't have to restart the back end for that. But, and if we look, it's see watch files detected changes in config.py and then was reloading and it shut down and then it updated. So that's a nice thing. And then also the same thing would happen if any front end changes were done. So now if Claude's making changes, the one, oh, I showed you, well, I showed you only some of my API key. That's okay. You can't guess the rest of it. Uh, but we'll close it. The one thing is if you are changing your .env, that might not be watched. So I'm just gonna say, hello, my name is Alex. Now we didn't put in anything for it to remember my name or anything like that, but we're gonna see what happens. It's chugging along, and we'll see if anything happens. We're pretty much at our hour, so we're gonna use this for a little bit, and if anything happens, that's great. If not, we will just say, hey, this got built in an hour, but it didn't work. It almost works, and maybe we'll continue it tomorrow. While it's running, we can take a quick look, see if there's anything here, see if there's any logs in the back end. Like I asked for some logs, didn't make any. Oh, here's the logging service. It's mostly just dot dot dot. And I hate that. I really wish um, we could fix it. And I think before I get too heated up about this, I'm going to try one thing. Oh, here we go, logs. No logs found. I'm going to log out. That doesn't work either. Unless it did. Nope. Log out doesn't work. We'll try an incognito tab so I don't have to worry about that. Open this up again, and it's hanging. So something's going on in the back end that has caused the system to hang, and it's just not working at all. And that's the end result. We got all of our files written. We got everything done. Um, we did it within Claude Code's limits. Uh, oh, here we go. Wait, we did get a logout. The logout did complete, and now we've loaded this up. So here's what I wanted to try. Register, um, Alex, password, Alex. We're gonna register. The registration did work, and so maybe you need to actually be registered and not logged in as admin because admin might not be created in the user table. Hello, I'm Alex. So to follow the correct flow, we're gonna try that. But once again, dot dot dot. I don't see any logs being created, and we're not getting any answer. So I so wish that I would just keep working on this, but I have really been trying to limit my daily vibe code sessions to an hour on my end and keep them short enough so that people might actually watch them as if they're very, very interested on their end. So at least we've got all of this set up. It looks kind of nice. It did create a front end and a back end that seems to have a lot of the capabilities we would want. It's just something's wrong in the actual agent chat system. Uh, Now, hey, it could be something really obvious. It could be something that's my fault. But we're not going to find that out right now. We're going to find that out tomorrow instead. So come and look for the next video if you are interested in the resolution here. Thanks for watching.